Hello, hello. How is everyone? Thank you for joining me. And tonight we have another live interview. And we have Ellen from Error of My Ways. The link to her channel is in the description, so make sure you do go and check it out. Give her a like, a subscribe, and all that stuff. And a big thank you to LQQ Looking for your super chat. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, now suddenly there's a million people here. Hello to everyone. I'll say we'll have a chat later, but now we'll bring on Ellen so she's not sitting out there by herself. And there she is. Ellen, how you going?
Hello.
Welcome.
How you doing, Cambell?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. All right. So, I think you sent me an email, didn't you? And
Yes.
sort of told me what you were doing, and I had a look at your work. And you've done a couple of interviews with Rex Bear on Leak Project.
Yes.
And some interesting stuff. So we thought we'd get you on for a chat.
Yeah. So, I felt compelled to reach out to other people who are also digging for the truth. And as I came across your channel, I was like, I never really knew what I was until you said, I'm autodidactic and I like to teach myself. I'm like, that is exactly what I've been doing for a long time now. So it's a great thing to be questioning.
Nice. You're in good company. Yeah. So, you've got quite a few different sort of, as we all do, avenues you've gone down. But tonight, we'll have a chat about the whole Yggdrasil, which is the tree in the Nordic tradition, which there's lots of movies of late with Thor and all these kinds of things. I'll just give it over to you. Do you want to start and educate us?
I am not. If you know who Jordan Maxwell is, I love his statement of saying that I'm not the foremost authority on anything, but what I am is very curious. And when I came across some information regarding Yggdrasil, I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know what Yggdrasil was, So I started really digging, because some of the terms that they used in Yggdrasil are some of the terms that we find in the Bible and what we use today. And that's Nephilim, but in Yggdrasil, it's Niflheim. And with hell, Hel is in Yggdrasil, but we have hell in the Bible, Hell. So I was like, wait a minute. These terms are very familiar. So let me go dig some more. And as I dug, my eyes got even bigger, because I was like, are you kidding me? Because now those who may not be familiar with Dolores Cannon, I took her class in 2018. And so I became a level practitioner more recently, but a level 2 practitioner. And telling you, I was still sort of on the fence about it, even when I was performing hypnosis on people. But when I started having it done on me, I started getting that it was the truth, because in my own situation as a child, I used to have nightmares of drowning and falling from a high place. Well, in one of my past lives, with this therapy, I was actually in Ireland and I threw myself from a cliff. So, I mean, what are we dealing with, And then you come across the research of all these other scientists with, Dr. Masaru Emoto's work of the consciousness of water. And then Marcel Vogel's work with the crystal technology and how it holds your consciousness and can amplify your intentions. These kinds of things struck me, and I was like, there's something to this whole narrative of Yggdrasil, because in another session, I saw myself as a very pale, thin, tall, I had white hair and purple eyes. And it looked like an elf by all intents and purposes. And I was like, I don't know what this is. So being the person that I am, I don't ask questions. I just go digging. I go dig. And I found out that purple eyes are the rarest eye color in this existence. So apparently, it's been claimed that Elizabeth Taylor had purple eyes, and I had no idea about this. So I dug some more, and I've been digging for probably about a year on this whole purple-eyed elf thing, and I found more. And then finding out information about Yggdrasil really got me questioning, what are we dealing with? Now, one of the things that I don't say a lot is that I worked for Hollywood studios since 2009, and I was working on all these different movies and things, and I know that they're in the occult and that they actually share truth in movies, but they sell it to us as fiction, so that way if we come across anything in the world, in regards to the subjects, we will just throw it off as fiction. We're like, oh, that doesn't exist. That's in the movies, blah, blah, blah. Why are they showing so much of this Norse cosmology lately with Thor and Loki and, all of that? Honestly, right now, it seems like someone's trying to trigger us into remembering. At this point, that's what it seems to me.
Yeah, it does. And it started with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is the same narrative as well, isn't
yes.
it?
So
except that are they good elves and
yes, they have good elves and bad elves, basically, in Lord of the Rings. And Harry Potter, too. What are you looking at when you're looking at Malfoy's family? They are the dark elves.
Yeah.
Okay, so diving into occult knowledge is what I do. And, Jordan Maxwell was a plethora of information with helping me see the symbols in our world. And so, knowing what these people are about in Hollywood with the magic wand, trying to captivate your mind and using the magic of Hollywood, to create this illusion, it's just started putting two and two together for me. And I'm hoping to help others actually see. And I know that's what you do, is like we're trying to help people and to raise the consciousness. So diving into Yggdrasil was just like opening up a whole new world of possibilities for our world. And I actually, I shared the PowerPoint presentation with Rex Bear on Leak Project, but I also have it, I can share it here as well so that we can go over some of the things that I've found. If you like, if there's a share screen option, I don't know. But
yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, so I can go and have that prepared. And I pulled up some other images because it resonated with me that there's a much bigger story to all of this, and that what we've been experiencing with all of this deception has been a part of the fall of man, as it's described in the astrotheology perspective. And I have astrotheology charts that I've been looking at because I do follow Mr. Astrotheology Santos Bonacci on YouTube as well. He's fast, wealth of information. So, but yeah, I'll go ahead and just share my screen.
Have you got?
Let me see if I can.
Permission, yeah. Do
I have to have two monitors? It says screen sharing is best with two monitors. I only have one, so.
Oh, hang on. I'll click that now. If you try it, is it better? Okay. Anyone know how to?
I don't know.
Anyone know how to use?
Well, we can just direct people, I guess, to the. I do have the video in my, playlist and in my selections of where I was interviewed with Rex Bear. But yeah. So,
okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I can so the Rex Bear interview. Okay, sorry, people in chat. We won't be one moment. And when was it? July. Yggdrasil interview leak project. Yeah. Okay, can we see that?
Yeah. So.
Yep.
there's many different depictions of
I'll just
cosmology. And the other thing to consider is that other world cosmologies have a very similar diagram of the world cosmic egg, basically. That's what that Yggdrasil is. That YGG is egg in Norse. And so this is based on 9 realms that are, I'm starting to get a sense that they're kind of like bubbles, like in a bubble bath. The way these realms touch each other is you can't really see them. I'm suspecting that they're operating on a different light frequency because of the spectrum of light that we see. And so I don't know how deep you go down the rabbit hole, but I came across information, I think it was last year, about the Daseinen goggles that they used in the military. They were the first night vision goggles, and they can actually see demons in the red color spectrum with these goggles. And then they had to change that color to green. So, and it,
that was freaky story, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it makes sense now that, you know, this lower red spectrum of light is part of what we would call hell. And it also coincides with the root chakra. And on another world of woo note, I since I became a level 2 practitioner, I have been removing entities from people. And these entities seem to attach right near the navel, which is the access point in which we come into this world. And learning more about this kind of thing, the archons, you know, they're spoken about in Gnostic texts about the archons and how they can influence people's thoughts and interfere with their lives and all of this. So they are dark entities, and they are thought form entities. And I have experienced them even only about 6 years ago. When I was working on Halt and Catch Fire, I was working on set, and we were on location at it was at a office building, and they had called lunch, but I always took my own lunch. And as I'm walking through the video village, all of a sudden this thought form comes into my mind when my eyes land on a backpack that's in a director's chair. And it came into my mind. It said, you know, you want to take that. And I, knowing myself well, I was like, I'm not going to steal somebody's backpack. I'm at work. Anyway, so that I was like shocked and astounded because I had been learning about all this stuff. And I said, this stuff is real and we need to start talking about it. But so with the Yggdrasil cosmology, they have these lower beings that we cannot see. And as you can see on the screen, the Egyptian, Hebrew, you have the Mayan, and, you know, all of the South Americas, they say a very similar thing about our cosmology and our world and how the stars are fixed in the firmament. And this was actually in the Encyclopedia Britannica until the 1960s, I believe.
1958, I think it was the last one.
Yeah, I mean, it was not that long ago that it was in Encyclopedia Britannica about the firmament. And why?
Yeah, it was under. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Yeah, so they're just constantly erasing the truth and feeding us a bed of lies. So it's up to us now to go and discover the truth or rediscover it. And so that's why we have, you know, in China and Asia, you know, Islam and all these places, Greece too, same thing. They have a very similar cosmology. And I feel like, you know, as we keep digging up the past, we need to evolve in our consciousness and awareness and try to bring this cosmology back into the forefront. I feel like this is.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I wonder if that, this is, if we're going, because basically it sounds like, not to put words in your mouth, but these dark elves we could associate as the archons, the lower level beings, the parasites, whatever you want to call them, that are taking control. Now, if that's true, that they wouldn't want anyone to know that the Earth is flat, would they? Because that would sort of prove their model a little bit, wouldn't it? So, but how do you see these entities? Do you think these are physical entities, or are we looking at
the only way they can have a physical form is through the humans? And so,
okay, yeah. So
we could go down a long
people we see.
I don't know how deep you want to go into into how they are acting.
Because as long as you don't say the C word, we'll be right.
Let's just say that they are summoning these things from darkness with the rituals that they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah. So So I mean, we all know about Sir Francis Bacon back in the 1600s.
John Dee
basically was summoning demons. John Dee. Sorry, it was John Dee, wasn't it? Not Bacon. John Dee, and he had drew the entity, and it looked exactly like what we call grey aliens today.
Yeah. So I mean that's where I go. So I'm not afraid to go down all of these paths to find out what the truth is, because I'm a double Aquarius, and I feel like I have got to find all of these connecting points. And so my job of what I'm good at is connecting dots. And as I said in my email to you, I study all these occult books. And when you study these occult books, it starts connecting even more dots as to why things are being done. And so what we have out here in the world is an energy, a Saturnian energy, and it's everywhere in the symbolism. And once you open your eyes, you can't unsee this stuff. Even, so Saturn represents time, and Saturn represents death.
Yeah.
He's the Grim Reaper, and he's also the Sandman. And apparently it's a principality of us as well. If it ends up that you have Saturn in your birth chart, then you have some sort of challenge in your life, or he will either favor you or challenge you. This is the kind of energy that they're relating to Saturn. And he also is known for eating his own children, because there was a prophecy that said that he would be overthrown by one of his own children. And so they associate these with the planets, with Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter is known as Zeus, and Saturn is, of course, what it is over there with the rings. And we have Lord of the Rings, which is also a reference to Saturn. The Nike swoop is also a reference to Saturn. So what we're looking at here with all of these different cosmologies from these philosophers, Pythagoras, and some of the other ones that were just previous, these are the planetary influences of these rings, which are also in correlation to not only Yggdrasil, but our physical body. And you could put yourself in the center of these rings, and each ring would represent a characteristic or aspect of yourself. As above, so below, they say. And so in this video is, I go on about how there's different artist depictions of Yggdrasil. And these are very colorful and fun to look at. But I feel like the most important one is the one that has the tree of life, which is the line drawing. If you just keep going forward, the line drawing actually has the different levels laid out, just like the tree of life in Kabbalah. And the Yggdrasil tree is called the tree of life. And in this slide right here, I talk about how those realms are interconnected. They're almost like bubbles in a bubble bath, and they touch their edges, and sometimes they overlap. And also, with all of the strange things that are on the internet, and especially the Can-Am Missing project, which is David Paulides' channel, he has Can-Am Missing with all of the missing persons cases in America and Canada in the national parks. And he only researches the strangest tales, where people are there 1 minute and gone the next. What is happening? I feel like the waves of energy for each of these realms is just like the aurora borealis, and that it's maybe there, an access point maybe there 1 minute and then gone the next. Because this world is much stranger than we could ever imagine. And the tales that come out of the Bermuda Triangle and, you know, all of the devil's triangles around the world are kind of like that. So, yeah, the realms are determined by our evolution or devolution. And again, this goes back to the chakra system in the body, which is also connected to the rainbow bridge of Yggdrasil. Because the rainbow bridge is the visual light spectrum, the 7 rays. In spiritual realms out here in the world, you will find different people talking about the 7 rays. And they're just talking about the light and the light spectrum and how we operate on these different frequencies. And we have all of the 7 rays within us, which is why we can either go down in our consciousness or go up in our consciousness. And you can feel this on a daily basis sometimes, you know, as you get mad or sad, and then all of a sudden, you know, you win the lottery or something, then you're overjoyed. Yeah, we have all of this capability inside of us. And again, you know, just going back to Yggdrasil, I'm like, there is something we need to really look at with Yggdrasil, because it's so much truth in your face. And there's too many ties and synchronicities with this in our world.
Now I've forgotten what I was going to ask you, so there we go. All right, so we were talking, so the tall whites, like we've got this story of, you know, from South America and that, of these tall white people, right? Bearded people with blonde hair and stuff coming in and teaching, you know, technologies and things. You know, it's almost a story like the fallen angels, I guess. They sort of turn up and they've got all this tech that they teach the people. And obviously that sounds, you know, like, do you think that what do you think that is? Is that related?
Yes. So let's talk about this for a moment. What have we been hearing out here in the world, you know, with this new idea and concept of aliens? And we've known that aliens in our own existence has been illegal aliens who come from other foreign lands that don't pay their taxes, you know, pretty much, you know, they're just like, oh, they're freeloading on the system, the mob. So we also have Pleiadians. They're talking about Pleiadians now. And guess what? Pleiadians are light elves. That's the correlation that, you know, they're not going to put in together for you. Yes.
Yeah, of course, because they're all right.
And the angels of heaven. And they are called the shining ones. You know, this is
so in the Yggdrasil, are they described as shining? Are they in?
They're the
light elves,
the Asir gods. The Asir gods are the ones that are underneath Odin. So Odin is the #1 leader of Asgard. And all of the Asgardians are, you know, the citizens who are of the light, basically. They're learning how to be even greater. I'm sure, because in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, this is what it talks about. It talks about the dweller of Undal, and how the dweller, if he was not in a physical body, he could harm people because of his light, the amount of light that he had, which means that kind of higher vibration can actually harm us because we're denser. We're of a lower frequency, and it's beyond our range to be that way. And we can only do so much.
Yeah.
And so, yes, white light carries the 7 rays. And the black absorbs.
Okay, so in white light there's good and bad.
Yes, I'm an artist, so I've been an artist all my life, and I've worked in Hollywood, and I've worked in very special places. But knowing all of this about the colors and how they actually affect our energy, our auric field, our ascension, all of this, our ascension in consciousness. That's all ascension is, the state of awareness. And, as we evolve higher, yes, there is a potential that you can develop the rainbow body, as spoken of in India and Tibet and all these places. You can develop the rainbow body and ascend to a level where you can't be seen anymore, basically, in this realm, this, Midgard.
Yeah. Well, then we have the stories like the Toltecs, and that was even in what was that book? God, no, I can't remember. But there's many stories of like whole peoples like disappearing, isn't there? Like literally just disappearing.
Yes.
Does that mean they all ascended, right? I mean, that's what we're told, going up.
Yeah, it's just like the Celestine prophecy, They were trying to figure out.
That's the one I was thinking.
Yes, and they just disappeared because they were on a different frequency.
Exactly.
And that is probably.
So and that, because we know that, because we're between, and it's interesting you were talking about the purple eyes, because we see between ultraviolet, which is purple, and infrared, which is obviously red, right? So like we're literally in that spectrum between the purple and the red, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, so purple is the highest frequency, violet and purple. Those are the highest frequencies, with red being the lowest. And on Terry Carter's channel, the Treasure Hunter, he interviewed a Hispanic man who encountered the fire giants of Yggdrasil. He didn't know that they're from, he doesn't mention Yggdrasil. He just explains his whole experience with the fire giants and how they were black and wispy bodied, but they had red eyes and flaming hair. And they came when he lit a fire on a particular mountain that he was told not to light a fire on at night. So, if you guys want to go find these giants, they're out there in the world still.
Wow. I mean, well, there's lots of strange stuff, but there's a lot of weird videos coming out of late. But I mean, because we obviously look at a lot of, the old maps and stuff, and it shows giants on those.
Yes.
And we've got Patagonia and stuff, the land of the giants, and that was connected to the land of fire. Oh gosh, my brain's not working tonight. But I mean, there's so many, and clearly we're not being told what's going on, and there would have to be a reason, that we're not being told, and really the only reason would be that, and I've been saying this for years, but we've been invaded, right?
Pretty much.
I mean, is that how you see it?
So, and I am getting the sneaking suspicion that all of this chaos started happening during the Golden Age, which was only between, so you have Taurus and Aries are the last 2 ages, Gemini, I believe it's Gemini, Taurus, and Aries. And in the middle of Taurus, the bull, is the height of the Golden Age. There's an access point there. If you look at astrotheology charts, you will find this image where it describes the Golden Age, And it's a point where they actually make it more white in Taurus. And that is when they also had the Baal worship that started. And in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it talked about how the Atlanteans became proud with their knowledge that they had been gaining and obtaining from the Dweller. And that the Dweller summoned the waters from below, because when you get on this level, you have the powers of the elements at your disposal. This is what I've been learning with all of Hermetics. I have Franz Barden's books about the initiation into Hermetics and how to use the elements within yourself and to harness that energy outside of yourself. And I'm starting to find people who are actually levitating themselves, whether it's trickery or not, I have no idea. But in the initiation into Hermetics, it explains how to do this kind of stuff. And there's also a cheat.
Bees levitate, don't they?
Levitation, you can actually imbibe objects with your consciousness and make them into magic. This is the magic practice that they did not want us to know about. With the Vatican that came around.
This is another thing that we discuss, is the fairy tales are the truth, right?
Yes.
The movies are the truth and the news is the lie.
Yes. Just put it this way. I know I've come across two people who not met, but they've seen a Sasquatch, and I know 3 people who have seen reptilian hybrids. So you tell me what's going on. And these people are not flaky kind of weirdos. They're people who have jobs that they need to keep. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that they told me in confidence. And I actually know somebody who's been abducted by a UFO too. So, these are the people that I meet all the time.
So that's an interesting thing. So what do we think UFOs are?
I believe they are ships that can traverse throughout these different realms, by lowering and raising.
So through different frequencies?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a frequency ship, so that they can just, and especially the light ships. You hear about Pleiadian light ships. They're the light elves of Yggdrasil, basically. But you have dark elves too, apparently, who are very angry and very jealous because they've been thrown out of Asgard. We've heard this story before, how they're thrown out of Asgard. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, that all of these stories that we hear are tied into this Yggdrasil narrative as well.
So have you read the Oralinda book?
I haven't.
Oh, you have to check that out.
Yeah.
OERA Linda. It was a found book found in the 1800s, and it was apparently copied from old books, and it's the story of the Frisians who were and the fall of Atlantis, and sort of tells how they sort of came into the realm, and they're tall, blonde, blue-eyed people.
Yes.
So you might find some interesting stuff in there.
Yeah. So going back to the Emerald Tablets. Have you read that one yet? The Emerald Tablets of Thoth?
I have. It's been a few years, but I have. It's been a little while.
Well, and that's fascinating that it talks about the waters being summoned from below by the Dweller. It floods out everything. This ties in with the flood of the giants, and the principalities of darkness that these people were summoning from below to gain more power and control.
So the Dweller, again, that's an how do I say it? Like a spirit with no body, basically. Is that right?
He's the master.
Dweller?
He's a master, and he lives in the tower that's in the middle of Atlantis. I guess it's the capital city of Atlantis. He lives in the tower, And he was ruler over the 10 kingdoms or the 9 kingdoms, something. I think it was 10 kings. And as they were growing upwards in their consciousness, they just became too proud. And I feel like this happened during the age of Aries. When you look at the symbolism of these ages, these astrological ages, it really starts you get a different narrative just from the symbols, because symbols are what we're supposed to actually be using instead of words, because we're casting spells on each other as we speak with the frequency.
Exactly. Well, that's Tower of Babel, right? When they confounded the language.
Yes.
And now we're spelling,
Yes. All by design.
But we're also going back to like all the computer icons, right?
Yeah, all the emojis and things, we're starting to kind of get back to it. It's a little bit chaotic, but I see it. It's coming back in a way.
So do you see that because clearly, the dark elves, if we'll call them that, having a bit of an influence, or have had at least for quite a while. So do you think that the light elves, the higher elves, are also trying to influence things down here? I mean, there's all this talk of light ships, coming in and, blah, 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 blah.
Yes. So, Dolores, if you read some of Dolores Cannon's books, all of her books are based on her sessions. And even through my own sessions that and there's a narrative. She didn't know anything. She was not a conspiracy theorist. She was a hypnotherapist trying to help people with their smoking and their weight and all that. And she found this whole narrative that was playing out in our world about how people are being abducted. Some of them are being abducted in order to upgrade their DNA, because they are part of this game of the Great Awakening, and they need to, it's like, okay, we need to help you to activate at a certain point, I guess, or to be able to see or communicate better. There's all these different reasons why different people are being taken. And call it Star Family or whatever, but there are volunteers that came here from these other realms, and I feel like I was one of them. Coming from the light elf realm, I came down to help with the Great Awakening, because there's a reason why all this stuff is starting to hit me like a ton of bricks. And the connectivity of why do I like going to Renfest dressing as an elf? I mean, all of this stuff, I'm just like, why is this stuff in me? Your cells, your DNA holds the memories from every lifetime you've ever experienced through your parents, your grandparents, all of this stuff. The memories are there. The connections to the Akashic records are there. And you can access this through the past life regression therapy. That's what's so amazing.
Okay.
And I studied psychology in college. I was a double major. I did psychology and art, and I followed art. I ended up following art for most of my life, up to this point. And I wish I would have found hypnosis a long time ago, especially Dolores Cannon's kind, because it's amazing. It's fascinating.
Yeah, well, she talks about the NPCs and the awakening and the did she coin indigo children? I can't remember. But basically, she talks about this new wave of people coming in.
Yes.
I mean, and it's a very common narrative at the moment. Obviously, there's so much talk about this Great Awakening and all this kind of stuff. So do you see that we're just coming out of, because obviously we're not going into the golden age, we're coming out of the dark age, really, aren't we?
Yes.
So do you see that that's just about us getting ready just to start ascending again? Because all this talk about ascending, and I mean, if you look at astrotheology, we're not in that point on the circle, are we? We're not at the golden age or Zep Tepi or any of that kind of stuff. We're sort of just starting to go back up again, aren't we?
Yeah. So with the ages, The fall from Aries, the highest state, which is the crown chakra, as correlated to the body, the physical body, Aries is the crown chakra. We fell back down in the fall of man to the 2 feet or the fish of Pisces. This is why the symbolism of the astrological chart is so important. You know, in astrotheology, it has so many signs and symbols and colors and things to read. And it's important to know these things and how they affect us. So as we're leaving the age of Pisces, you know that Pisces is associated with Jesus Christ, which is represented in Christianity by the fish of Pisces. We're going into the age of Aquarius now, which means there's a new dynamic at play. There's a new energy, and there has to be a new rule of thumb and a new regime. Out with the old, in with the new. We're going to tear down the old ideas, and we're going to come up with a new religion, and we're going to have new ideas. It's going to be a new world. That's what we're seeing right now with them redoing the monetary system. We're in a shift with all of that. The BRICS nations, the BRICS, the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa nations have started an alliance where they're going to get us back to the gold standard. And there's other countries that are wanting to sign back on board and get away from the fiat currency that we've been under. But as you're seeing all this stuff play out, you can absolutely know why everything's happened by looking at this one astrotheology chart. And I can link you to that chart, and maybe you can share it on your screen. Because that one,
yeah, sure,
a lot of information just in its design. I feel like it's one of the best ones to educate people to this level of awareness. And then you can see and know how far we are and how far we have to go in order to get to where we have, you know, a better foundation and grasp on the truth. So first we have to go through all of this great awakening, and we're still not there. You know, I mean, we've got a lot of people who are still wandering around in the dark, which is fine. Everybody has to have their moment, you know, of discovery. That's really what this is all about. It's all experiential, and it's part of discovering your own truth about our world and, you know, the energy that's here. And I'm just trying to scroll through all of my images here. Okay, I found it. All right, I want this one. I'm just going to send this back in an email. I'm just responding to an email as an attachment, and you can.
Oh, do you chuck it in? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can share that one, because I wasn't sure if I could share it the way this thing is. Yeah, it only has a video file, so I don't know. It's an interesting. I've never used this application, so its controls are interesting.
Who's turned up? Oh.
Is it there? Oh, let me see.
Can't see.
Make sure it goes. It might take just a few seconds.
Gosh, internet. Oh, here it is. Yep.
Okay, yeah. The internet's weird sometimes.
It's very, very strange. It's supposed to be getting better as we go forward, isn't it? But
yes. Yeah, well, this is why I say people need to think about, did we really go to the moon? I mean, do we really have the technology that can access thousands of miles away?
Well, we
can't even get a cell phone signal here.
No, right?
Hold on.
Let me keep blowing out the way.
Let me look for another chart. There's actually another chart too that's even better than that one. Let me see, because I saw the colors of that one in a small little image. Now I got to try to find this other one, because this other one has the golden age and stuff on it. Let me see.
Okay.
Find this.
All right, who have we got?
I am going
Hello,
to.
everyone in chat. Hello, Sonia, Zal, Marina, Sayonara. Hello. Stella, little whiskey. No.
Esther.
Almost 400 of you there. Make sure you give us a like. And the link for Ellen's channel are in
This one.
the description, people. So make sure you go and check it out. Give her a like and a subscribe. There's lots of good stuff there.
Okay, try this other chart. This one has more details. I just sent another one.
Okay.
I love the colors anyway. It's awesome.
Is this one got a yin yang in the middle of it?
Yes.
It looks
Yes. Very important to add all of these details.
Is it pretty similar? I think I've got it.
It's similar, but this one has a lot more information that we can tie into one unit. The yin and yang in our world is very, very important. It is absolutely everything in your life. When you find your life out of balance, you look at what the yin yang has to say about that balance, and you will find out the answer, and you'll know exactly what to do. So with this chart, let's have a look at this. Look over here at Aries on the left. As you can see, it's the ram's horn, and it looks like a fountain, actually, with the symbol, the tiny symbol of the two split right there. It's almost like a fountain, but it's also dividing. This is another thing that I'm looking at this, I'm like, my eyes get big because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is telling you what happened in the symbolism. So go to Gemini. Gemini's symbol is like equal and harmonic and balanced. And it means that everything was in perfect balance in our world and harmony. And as they got into the age of Taurus, and see where it says the golden is the gold spring, that little inner ring where it's kind of yellow and white.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. See that gold spring, and see that highlight point right there where it's the height of consciousness. This is what this represents right here in the last 1,000 years or so of Taurus, because each age is about 2,150 years, give or take a few hundred years, because of the size of the stars for that constellation. And as you can see with the horns there in Taurus, this is where it seems like the circle, so the circle is like the circle of life. It's a circle of protection. It means unity. It means balance. But you have two little spikes starting to form with this symbol. And this, I feel, is where the fall actually began, because of the Baal worship, which was the bull. B-A'-A-L, Baal. And they started sacrificing people during that time to achieve more powers, just like what it says in the Emerald Tablets. They went downward in their consciousness because they wanted more power. They were proud of their knowledge. And then so in Aries, it was the fall of the consciousness, but they were starting to leave the golden age. And look at the body that's in the middle, the human form that's in the middle of this entire thing. You can see that that's the crown chakra of this image. And they fell in their consciousness as they went down into Pisces, right there at the feet. This is when Christianity came about with Jesus, and Jesus being the Son of God, and all of this, that's the Sun, the S-U-N, because Jordan Maxwell explains how they came up with the lazy O, from S-O-N to S-U-N. And so the fall is here. And you can equate the feet with trying to find the path to follow, So the 2 feet are wandering around looking for the path. And the symbol for Pisces, which is down on this black outer ring on, down on the left, is the symbol for the Hilton Hotel. Okay, you see how they put it right in your face. Pisces. Okay, now, so we know about frequencies now. With Nikola Tesla and all of his information that he provided for us about everything is a frequency of vibration, you have the white ring with the frequency symbol. Basically, it's a sacred geometric symbol that represents a specific frequency. And as we climb all this astrological calendar again, we will come back to the crystalline structure of the triangle, which is the pyramid shape. See, this last one in Aries is a triangle, and it's pyramid. Why? Because it's part of the tetragrammaton. The tetragrammaton is every sacred geometry in this existence. It holds every sacred geometry within its matrix. And you can find that information online. But this is why I feel like, all of this ties right back into Yggdrasil with the 7 rays, the foundational truths, where we come from, the DNA, all of these things. Very fascinating. Now, just take a quick look at Aquarius and the symbol for Aquarius. They say it's a water sign, like it symbolizes the water for the water bearer. It's right, the little waveforms, it's a sine wave. What are we learning about? Frequencies. This is why I say, each sign is going to represent a certain energy or thought form during each age. And the discovery of frequencies is coming back to us. And that's why they can make this chart. And this chart and this information is so ancient, with astrology and astronomy and all these other things, that they knew what to put as a roadmap for our existence and what each age is going to represent. So with Pisces, we've been in a male-dominated world, because the male energy, which is represented by the white energy in the yin yang, the male energy has been dominating everything. Now look directly across from Pisces, and what do? You get the female energy of Virgo. So I tell you, when you just learn a little bit about symbols and symbolism and what these symbols mean and the signs and things like that, then you can start reading some of these charts. And in Virgo, you have the feminine symbol over here, and it has 2 little spikes. I'm like, okay, does it mean that we're going into a female-dominated world? Probably at that time. Like, there's going to be a lot of dominating female energy in Virgo. And also probably in Libra, because of the black part of the yin and yang. So
very cool. I'm getting echo again, aren't I? Is it echoing again? Oh no, now it's stopped. Awesome. It's interesting because most of the charts I've seen about the precession, that they tend to divide into 3s, and they have like golden age, silver, bronze, where it's a build up, and then literally from the golden age it goes straight, it falls the whole way down, doesn't it? Like, and starts again, rather than building down slowly, it just falls.
Yes. I feel like it's, from the golden ages, when they started all this warring and stuff between nations, and that's when, Lemuria and Atlantis were at odds with each other. And America, if it is Lemuria, the evidence of the war is the Grand Canyon. And here in Georgia, we have a little version of the Grand Canyon. And I went there recently, and I'm going to go back and camp and really do some exploring. I found evidence of vitrified rocks. And I just was like, oh my gosh. You know what the excuse? So this is how ridiculous they think we are. Or when these people believe this story about this place is called Providence Canyon. they say that it's created by bad farming practices. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's so ludicrous because it's a huge gouge, almost like lightning bolts in the earth.
Yeah, Liechtenstein patterns.
Yes. Have you heard about that theory?
Yeah.
So I came across someone's channel recently, and I add these people's information, all of the different videos I come across. I add them and collect them in folders in my playlist. So this guy was saying the pyramids, they were used for probably good, like free energy technology once upon a time, but then the theory is that that energy was then used as a weapon later and used to destroy things like the star forts and all of the other things around. And I'm like, I don't put it past that theory at all. I never thought about that angle, really.
So
did you hear about that?
With the Golden Age, it's I don't know. I mean, I've heard similar theories to that it's shot stuff out the tip of it and stuff, and people have said had a blue beam and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's so much going on now. I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, there we go. You got anything to say? I forgot.
Yeah. So in the astrotheology chart, after the Golden Age, you see the symbol for the Golden Age, the Golden Spring. We go into winter, which is represented in Pisces and part of Aquarius. And you can look out here in nature. I don't know how it is where you are in Australia, but I live on 3.5 acres, and my trees are dying because of the things that they're spraying in the sky and the imbalance that it's creating in the soil. So it's creating what would be described as a winter of our minds, our consciousness, our existence.
Which is interesting. I mean, what did we get blasted at us in the 80s, right? The whole nuclear winter.
Yes. Yeah. But we'll be getting out of winter in about the middle of Aquarius. And that...
That's not good news.
But here's the thing. I mean, we're at the cusp where we're in this awakening, and we're on the other side of the river trying to hold space for other people to awaken and then question things, and we can guide them. But as we are right now, we're still destroying nature with the corpse orations. That's what the term corporation means. It comes from corpse orations, which is the dead speaking entity. And when you look at what the corpse orations represent, it represents the death cult of Saturn, because you're in a cube. We all live in cubes. This is something else we're not supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to live in a cube. It actually accumulates a certain frequency. If you look into radionics, and how radionics, which is absolutely everything around you, objects, colors, textures, fibers, all of this stuff, it's radiating and emitting a particular frequency. And even the shapes around us are emitting a particular frequency. And that frequency is affecting us in ways that we don't comprehend yet. But with the way the world is, with the material things that people still cling to bring into their homes and into their lives, we have concrete everywhere. We have steel buildings everywhere. We live in a frequency soup of chaos energy with all of the poisonous things that are around us. The fibers and fabrics are synthetic and plastic, which is death. We're supposed to be wearing cotton, wool, natural fibers, bamboo, all of these things. We're supposed to be surrounded by those. And white, because it's the 7 ray. Black is septic, actually. Black represents Saturn. Black represents death. I'm throwing out most. I know I'm throwing out most of my black now because I'm like, I'm going up, y'all. That's why I'm painting with lighter colors. I'm like, I'm getting away from this dark energy.
Sarah there.
It's just something.
But this is the thing. It's so ingrained, isn't it? I mean, just look at, and I grew up, into heavy metal and all that. But just look at the whole heavy metal scene. It's all just black and skull symbolism and death symbolism and all that kind of stuff and low frequencies and but then again the opposite to that is the same, right?
Yeah.
No,
what
eating it. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, this book, why is it black, is Saturn. It's the cult of the black cube.
Yes,
black.
And then of course they a lot of Judaism and Islam both worship black cubes as well, don't they?
Yes, that's what they do
so
when they do the Hajj. When you go on the Hajj and you walk to Mecca and you go around the black cube, they're representing the energy of Saturn as they walk in a circle around.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
They have no idea. A lot of them
aren't they? Yeah. No. Well, they don't. I mean, and you can look into any religion. You can look into Christianity and find the same things. I mean, look at Christmas. I mean, all these things that we do that we think are, and they get it. They put it in such a way that we think they're all good and they're nice, and that if you don't follow them, you're a bad person and all this kind of stuff. That's how they indoctrinate it, so that we think we have to. I mean, with Christmas, right? It's like if you've got kids and you're like, oh no, I don't buy presents. We don't do Christmas. Everyone looks at you like, oh, you're a horrible parent. But they're the ones that are worshipping, a God they don't know about. So it's very
pagan. It's
job,
paganism. Right? Paganism dominates the religions, but people don't know that. They're not aware of that. But yet they fear. See, this is what they did. They were killing people for their knowledge. During that fall, they started killing people, erasing the knowledge and rewriting the knowledge. Rewriting his story. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's they're still doing it. That's what they're doing right now with censorship, because now we don't, instead of books, we've got the internet, right? So now they just delete stuff from the internet, which they're doing, and so now we've just made it easier for them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've kind of accepted and this is the whole thing. Like it's all. They offer us all these things, all these hits, right? It's like, oh, but the internet and cars and all this stuff and medicine, but you have to buy into their whole system and live their system to get any of that, and then you find out that's the stuff that's killing us, right?
Yeah. So
that stuff
in that video interview that I did with Rex with the rod of Asclepius, it goes from the staff of Hermes to the rod of Asclepius. The staff of Hermes represents the perfect energy body, a body that's in balance and full health. The two snakes that wind up the central column, which is the spine, and they go up to the pineal gland, which illuminates with the wings. You're illuminated, you're rising with your consciousness, you're becoming lighter in knowledge, basically, more fulfilled. And the rod of Asclepius, though, is quite the opposite. It's missing the wings, and it's missing one of the snakes, and it represents the ambulance, the health, the medical.
Yeah, the single snake. So,
they're telling you.
And so the Caduceus is the same, just without the wings. Is that right?
What's that?
God, there's so many of these things, aren't there?
Mm-hmm.
The Caduceus, is that?
Yes,
that's just the rod, but without the wings.
The Caduceus is actually the rod. It is the rod of Hermes, staff of Hermes, is the Caduceus, and it has the wings. But the rod of Asclepius, one without the wings, and it has one snake. I have that in that video, in that presentation.
Oh, that's Asclepius. Yeah, and that's that I've seen that. It's on the side of a lot of ambulances.
Yes.
And stuff, which is so that's obviously representing Saturn's all this kind of stuff, like single energy. Is that what the Caduceus is, like the two energies, like rising up the?
Yeah, it's the Kundalini. It's the energy of
the Kundalini.
It's like it's representative of the Kundalini energy, because as the energy flows through our body, it's winding through our body like the snakes. And, the energy comes up and down. There's a downward flow and there's an upward flow. And I've been learning. So I took Kundalini yoga, and I took it for a month at an actual facility. And I started becoming illuminated with my Kundalini, because I became lucid after my second day of Kundalini yoga. That evening when I went to bed, I got into a lucid state, and I could feel the energy from the base of my spine shoot up to the back of my neck. And I'm like a little kid with this kind of stuff. As I was asleep, I was so excited because I knew that it was part of astral projection. And I got so excited. I was like, well, I just want to remember how to switch this on and off. So I sat there just flipping it like a light switch, going click, 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 about 12 times. And I fell asleep. And I was like, no. I mean, this is real. So what I was doing, and I'm just give you a little insight onto the perspective of what I was doing for this entire month. For that 1 month, I was grounding myself, full body earthing, lying on the ground, touching every aspect of my body on the ground. I would sun gaze. I was ingesting, good foods, wholesome foods, very organic. That's what I do most of the time anyway, is organic foods. And I was anointing myself with oil and salt, sea salt with oil. It's kind of a solution. You use grapeseed oil and sea salt, and you stir this up, and you just paste it all over you, after you get out of the shower, and it starts to amplify your cells. Now, don't ask me where I got this whole anointing with oil and salt thing, but learning about salt and how bacteria can't grow on salt because salt is crystalline. And this is what I know now, is that it's crystalline in its structure, but it does not rot or decompose, in a bad way. It will never become septic. And my inner wisdom told me to combine the salt, the sea salt, natural sea salt, with the oil, and to anoint yourself. And I did this, and all this stuff started happening. So I was like, okay, this is how to do it. Because it just amplifies the electricity in your body. Your skin is the biggest organ on your body, so you absorb all of that.
Batteries need the salt bridge. So it's right.
Yeah, all of that. Now I know about Baghdad batteries and all this stuff. But I mean, it's
free electricity.
But my inner knowing is just telling me this stuff. Anoint yourself. I'm like, okay, let me just slide in this. That's just who I am. I listen.
We used to anoint ourselves, and now we're just left with ointment.
I was always wondering, what did they bathe with in the past to cleanse themselves? I'm sure they didn't make all this crazy stuff that we have now, all these poisonous products and all these things.
Well, we look into, Tartary, and one of the things about all these old buildings is they don't have plumbing.
Yeah,
there's no toilets, there's no running water in the buildings, but outside there's fountains everywhere and plumbing systems outside the buildings.
Yes.
So they weren't having baths, and they were jumping in the fountains,
Well, you remember this, that they used to use chamber pots as toilets.
Exactly. Yeah, because all these palaces that they stole didn't have any toilets or plumbing in them.
Because we're not supposed to do that to our water. Our water is sacred. We're not supposed to be defecating in our water. Exactly. Yes, and then they recycle it and make us drink it. And did you hear that pigs?
Yeah, and most don't know that. Yeah.
I mean, this is what they're doing to us. The pigs, the pink pigs, have our DNA, and this is why they can harvest the organs from those pigs. This is why Jewish people won't eat pigs, because you're basically eating yourself. You're cannibals at that point.
That's why, we get these pigs, and then you see a wild pig, which is like a hog, and it looks nothing like a pig. It's like, that's a different animal, man.
No, but they're putting that in the natural flavors, in the ingredient label on foods. They're putting.
I mean, that could be looked at as blood sacrifice and stuff, couldn't it?
Oh my gosh. If people knew about this whole list of ingredients, about spices and natural flavors, and that's a whole nother. I had to learn about this because I came across a video. I look into health and wellness because I was trying to find a way to heal my asthma that I had, but I healed my asthma from helping other people. This is very fascinating. So I was studying what Marcel Vogel was teaching about crystal technology and how we can use the crystals to amplify our thoughts and intentions and send love to people and heal them instantly. And as I've been doing this on a regular basis for myself, for my mother, for my family, my friends, anyone that comes to me, I'll just go, okay, how's this feel? And they go, that's good. I've healed my asthma. That's what's weird. I've not changed anything out here with anything else, no medicinal, no nothing. I've healed myself though. And a few years ago when I was connecting in meditation, my other self, my higher self, or God, whatever you want to call it, said it's energetic and you will find the answer. I can't explain all the things in the world, but we are connected to something greater.
I think what we're learning is this world that we think is real, reality isn't really real. It's all just an illusion that we're projecting. We're the projector, and the script writer is the TV. And as long as we watch that and think it, then we project the reality they want, right?
Yeah.
So with the good news is the new reality is just a thought away, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Turn off the TV unless you just want to know.
The collective new.
So what I do now is
new reality.
I use Hollywood things to go and add to my research. With the Thor series, I went back and I started looking more into the movies. And now that I've owned them, I'm just going to go through and be like, oh my gosh, look at this, people. Look at this. And I don't know if you're aware, if you have Netflix or not, but they have the series called The Sandman. And at the beginning, I
have heard of it. Yeah, it's kind of new, isn't it?
Yes, it's fairly new, but
Sandman,
again, Sandman is death. It is Kronos. It is Saturn. And so the Sandman always wears black. He has black hair. He looks like a vampire. But in the very first episode, the magician says, he's like, I'm going to capture death. And he's referring to the Sandman. And so he does. He traps him in a bubble and holds him captive. And then the world starts being thrown into chaos. Because apparently Saturn is it's an aspect of the dream state of our awareness. And I feel like what we what one of the goals is in this existence is to capture our consciousness enough so that we can maintain it while in the dream state, which is astral projection.
Oh, okay. So while we're alive, you mean? While we're down here?
Yes. While I feel like that is part of our discovery of self and consciousness.
So that's like the driving test, right? Learning to drive our astral body sort of thing.
Whether it's because the dream state is the reality. From what I've been learning,
exactly.
The dream state is...
I've been, and I don't know why, but when I was about 8 or something, I started saying, no, this is the dream.
Yes. This is the dream that we're living. Yeah. And science is starting to catch up with that truth. With the illusion, saying, this is a hologram, it's a holographic universe, what are we doing? And science and spirituality are going to meet again once more because they were divided during this Tower of Babel era when everything was confuddled.
Yeah.
The languages, the tribes, and we closed off all the borders, and the darkness came and controlled everything and makes us pay to even just wander around the world, which is not the way the world was.
Yeah.
Back during Atlantis,
No.
Lemuria, you could go anywhere and live wherever you wanted. But this control system came about, and they had high technology, UFOs, all of that stuff back then.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. They were much more. And this whole story of evolution is just a scam, isn't it? It's not evolution; it's cycles. It's not like they try and tell us we're the epitome, we're the smartest, we're the best, the most evolved, but no, we've been a lot higher than this before. Actually, at one of the lowest points we've ever been. I mean, so do you think this happens every cycle? Is that the cycle? Like we build up? I mean, it must, right? Because if there's a fall in there,
You've heard
got to be a time where
you've heard the term "there's nothing new under the sun," right? There's nothing new under the sun. There may be some, slight differences. Like we got a bunch of junk that we make, but eventually we will clear all that out and get back to a more natural, harmonic state with nature. And this is another thing. Like I'm searching for terms that don't use balance and harm in their etymology, because
that's a good
harmony.
Yeah.
And good morning.
We're going through that at the moment.
Good
morning. Hello.
Everything is it's spouting from the death cult.
I'm saying
Saturn. Yes. In reference to death, or sorrow, or lower states of consciousness. All of it, every bit of it. So balance, that's Baal worship.
Well, I mean, if we can change our spelling, then we're going to change what we cast. And I was going to say, Brian Evans has just said, "Enter Sandman," Metallica, right? That song. I have to have another read of those lyrics.
Yeah, why do they call it death metal? Why do they wear black? Why do they? It's all part of the death cult. Judges,
like skeletons and stuff, and
judges, lawyers, all this stuff pertaining to death. There's more of it, more of it, because their time, they know that their end is near, and that the awakening is here. And for us to see the symbols and the signs, and which path do you want to go? It's our free will to either go down or to go up the tree of life.
So Dolores Cannon talks about the split, right? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there is going to be some of us that go up and some of us that either stay or go down? Or?
Absolutely. So there's going to be a split. And what do you see during the beginning of the age of Aquarius is in the physical body, in the human body, it represents the ankles. And the two ankles, of course, so you have the 2 feet that are the 2 fish of Pisces. They're on the path. Now what you have is the ankles. They're connecting to 2 foundations of what the age of Aquarius is going to represent. And what do we have out here in the world? We have Saturnian energy, which is the artificial intelligence. It is, AI, it's black, it's the rings of Saturn, it's death, it's all this stuff. They want to put your consciousness into the and upload it to the Google Cloud with Starlink and Neuralink and all of these things. And then you have the natural world, which is where I am. I'm like, I'm going this way. You guys, you guys can take the left-hand path, which is the one of Saturn. I'm going to take the right hand and go towards the natural world, towards the light, and try to help people see which one do you want to take?
Well, I mean, and that's we're seeing this happen right now. I mean, we see it from our perspective, but everyone in our community, they're all talking about getting away from cities and getting back on the land and creating communities and all this stuff. There's these other people who walk around with things on their faces and zap little funny shapes with their phones and everything, and then just sort of keep going about. So, and this is the thing, there's no way that we can go forward
Listen.
together, those two separate ideologies. We're just, at this point, we're too different.
So here's the thing. Okay, we know that Saturn is represented by black and death. What is this? It's a scrying mirror.
Yeah, and it's also a black screen.
It's a mirror for scrying. It's a black mirror, and so is the computer, so is the TV, blah, 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 blah. And what did they put on Netflix? Black Mirror, the series. And what did they tell you in that series?
Oh, really?
Yes. What did they tell you in that series? Every single episode is about artificial intelligence technology and connecting your mind to the Borg. Yep. I'm like, look. This is why I look into what they're putting out in Hollywood with all this dark, foundation that they're trying to establish. And they're absolutely going to have their way, because you have those people that love that stuff. They love, the AI and the interaction into the metaverse. I'm staying with the metaphysical. That's what we're going to have. Metaverse and metaphysical. Physical means natural. Metaverse is the unnatural. Yes. Saturnian energy will dominate for 1,000 years.
And so they're basically trying to capture food to get them through to this point again, right?
Yeah.
So that's like 20,000 years, man. God. That's scary.
Well, we're just going to reincarnate again on that wheel. So if you notice in that astrotheology chart, the Ouroboros is there. The Ouroboros is representative of death and rebirth. It's also in Yggdrasil. And it's represented by the Jormungandr. Jormungandr is the serpent that was thrown. Odin threw the serpent out of Asgard because it was one of Loki's children. Loki had mated with this other goddess, and because Loki was a shapeshifter, he created Fenrir, the wolf man, with this goddess, and Hela. Hela was actually one of Odin's daughters, That's in the Thor movie.
Okay.
And she became dark.
I'm going to have to watch it.
Yeah, this is...
And that's where Hel comes from.
Hel, she rules Hel.
And is that Hel?
Hel. Her name is Hela, Hela. Hela.
Okay.
And she rules Hel, Hel.
Hela.
But Niflheim.
We're just talking about spelling, right? But
listen,
that's literally hello.
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing. I've started saying great day or good day or, all of this to people, because good morning doesn't work.
I used to say great, but now I'm like, great, because everyone's going, oh, no, that means
great
like
means
goat, right? Greatest of all time what is it?
It's like,
it's associated with the goat.
It's 8. Yeah. You ate. It was something. You ate something. Great. I don't know. We just got to go. Maybe we shouldn't say that. Our understanding. I don't want to
think. I don't understand you. Yeah, that's what we learn. But as long as we're conscious of it too, I think we're gonna, because most of it's intention. But if you say it subconsciously or unconsciously, then that intention's locked on the word, isn't it? So you mentioned reincarnation. So what are your thoughts on that? Is this all training so that when we pass over, we don't go to the reincarnation machine?
So, what has been happening with these hypnosis sessions with myself and with Dolores Cannon and other practitioners of hypnosis, they've been able to see that we are nothing more than points of light. And as we accumulate more experiences, we grow in a different spectrum. Now, there was another practitioner, and I can't remember his name, but his books are Journey of Souls. And there's a man, he's down in Florida, and he's been practicing hypnosis for many years, but he would put people in between lifetimes, and he would get them to look at themselves as what they are, and they would describe themselves as an orb of light, that they emit a particular color of light. The younger souls were white, but as they progressed through their incarnations, they started taking on a light shade of purple. And it makes sense, again, with the ascension of consciousness, the crown chakra being that violet ray. The purple is the highest color. And then Dolores Cannon.
Have you heard about the whole red shift, blue shift plasma narrative, and resets, and the purple is the red and the blue combined, and like all our flags are red and blue. Every war pretty much, pre-green uniforms was red against blue. There's this big red-blue thing going on. Of course, blue bloods, red bloods, and blue and red is purple. So is that what we're supposed to be doing, like becoming more whole? Is that what?
Yes. Well, everything is experiential.
There's something with purple.
What's funny is that
the royals as well call themselves purple, don't they? They're blue bloods, but they're all their color's purple.
Yeah. And I believe that there's a reason why they call them blue blood. I feel like there's more of a particular element in the blood that causes the blood to be blue. And they say that the copper is what can turn blood blue. Mm. And I don't know if it's certain reptiles that have that. I'm not really sure.
No mammals do, reptiles and some fish, I think. But there are some. I think octopi and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Have different colors of blood. Yeah. And of course, octopus is another massive thing, isn't it? That's just bloody octopuses.
They're so intelligent.
Oh my God.
And they're starting to say that the octopi, they're alien. Like the DNA is weird.
Have you heard of the channel J Dreamers? J Dreamers. There's a channel.
Oh, yeah.
It's just Jay Dreamers. Yeah,
I've come across that.
He talks a lot about the zoids and all that. He actually says elephants and giraffes. He doesn't think they're from here either. He's like, no, they're not from here. But this is the thing. We just don't know where we are, do we? Because they used to teach about catastrophism. Like that used to be taught. Everyone sort of used to know there used to be regular catastrophes and things used to change and beings or whatever used to come in and leave. But now we think that's all just TV shows. And so, like things like, cuttlefish and octopuses and all these, starfish, right? Axolotls, you can cut their legs off and they regrow them. And there's just all this weird stuff going on.
Is that like part plant? Plants can regrow themselves as long as you maintain a particular part of it. This is why, out here in Midgard, plants are green because it's the heart chakra.
Yeah.
That's the frequency of colors matters. And then if you look at the sky, it's blue. What's blue? It's the throat chakra.
Yeah, right. And of course, below us is the dark. So is it literally where Midgard, like the chakras, right? And then there's the good, heaven above, and below is the three sort of colors, and above is the three colors, and we're just in the middle at the moment, just.
Yeah, we're in Midgard, so
decision of which way we want to go.
According to what Dolores Cannon found, is that people from all kinds of different realms came to incarnate into this life. And I put up 2 of the hypnosis sessions that I've done, and one of them, the very first one that I ever did, I put up on my channel. And she was someone that I knew, but she said she wanted to know why she had this strong connection with water. Again, what do you feel you're connected to? This is very important to do the introspection. She's like, I feel really strongly drawn to water, and I want to know why I was able to remember being born in this lifetime. And I was blown away because I'm like, you remember being born? She's like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, that is weird.
Wow.
So in her
That is very
session,
weird.
it opens up, she's in the water and everything's dark. And I tell her to look around, and she said, there's a bright light, but the white light is talking. And then she realizes it's someone in the water that's talking to her. And it's a fish person. And the fish person guides her down into the city at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. And
wow.
they have telepathic communication in a great, room with other fish people about a war that they need to prepare. Now, this person knew nothing about Dolores Cannon's work.
Wow. Okay.
And this session happened in 2018 after I had taken Dolores's classes, and I did this session. It was blowing me away. And then when 2020 happened, my mind just exploded even further, because I was like, she came, and through that session, she went right from being a fish person into the womb of a woman, because she said it's dark and I'm in a bubble. She's in a bubble. And then she says there's a bright light. So she was being born. There was a bright light and a lot of noise. It was really loud. And she did not like the energy here. And she describes being here. And I was like, I couldn't.
That's just so bizarre that you say a fish person.
Yes.
Like like a merman, right?
Yeah, she was a woman.
Of course, we have the Pope with the fish head, right? But there's all this fish symbolism all through religion, and the Awanas is
the Dogon.
Is that Akkadian?
Like the Dogon
and the Dogon as well, yeah.
The fish hat of the Pope.
Yeah, the fish hats, yeah, and the mitre, which is the Pope. Yeah, the Pope wears the same hat. But you were saying that this person or this entity sounded good. Because I was wondering, oh my God.
Yeah, she was actually good.
Law,
so that's what, we really.
Is that a gatekeeper or something?
Well, we do live in a dualistic world. We live in a world of yin and yang. And that's with personalities. That's with everything. There's darkness and light here in this existence. And you're going to find it in absolutely every aspect. So what are they going to focus on? The death cult of Saturn's going to focus on all of the negative things to put fear in people. They're going to want to erase all of the truth and rewrite it for their benefit and hope that we don't discover the truth. But as in every age that comes about, it always happens the same. We discover the truth again. They know these things. They know.
They're really bad at their job. Yeah, they suck. They're going down.
Yes, yeah.
Gosh, I'm over there with that crap.
I mean, and all we have to do is know that this is all just experiential, and that our soul, our light, is eternal. And how much light you pour into your life will have an effect on the next life. And it's like a spiral. Yeah. What I see this Midgard as is one big swirling energy. And it's kind of like those wave pools or those slides where you get in the tunnel and then you spiral around, and you're in the water and it spirals you around at the water park.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually you go down the hole.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. But there's a jet stream that goes up, and there's a jet stream that goes down. Yeah. Depending on your choices.
The torus as well.
Everything.
Yeah. Which is the torus, the torus field.
The toroid field.
Which is our heart. That's why it's called the torso. Yeah.
All of this.
And by the way, actually check out my other channel, people, Spiral Up, talking about spirals. Yes. Sorry, little plug there.
Yeah, so, and what I learned from a friend of mine who had spent a lot of time with I think it was Lakota Indians, the Lakota natives of America. He learned that Counterclockwise motion pushes out energy, and then clockwise motion brings in energy. And I believe that this has an effect because of the magnetic field of Mount Sumeru, which I'm sure you've heard of.
Yeah. Black Rufus Negro.
Yes. Yeah, so Mount Sumeru,
magnetic mount.
I believe that is why that energy can have such an effect, going in those certain directions. And then you see, the Tesla coils and how they're made with the interlocking spirals, and how it brings in and it pushes and brings out energy. It's like does back and forth, Anyway, all of this stuff. It's amazing, isn't it? When you can really just start to put all of the pieces together.
Most of it's pretty simple. We just got taught the wrong thing. We got taught, oh no, don't play with electricity. You'll blow yourself up. No, you can't try things. But back in the 1920s, every kid had a crystal set, which was literally a free energy radio.
Mm-hmm.
But now they teach us, oh no, free energy doesn't exist. And when you guys are idiots. So that they literally teach us to not do. I mean, look at school now, right? Kids come out, they don't even know how to hold a hammer. But we're getting taught not to look into this stuff. And then, like you said, with the movies, they only give us any truth in movies so that you can't bring it up with someone. If you try to explain to someone, they're like, but that's from a movie, you idiot.
Yeah.
It's just a movie.
Yeah, that's just fuel for the ignorance, They want to keep people ignorant with the magic wand of Hollywood. That's all it is a magic wand. They're, enslaving people's minds, captivating them.
Yeah. That's why you have a cast in a movie, right? Every movie has a cast.
They're casting them. And let me tell you, just seeing some of these actors at work, it's like watching a circus act, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, that might be an interesting chat for another time. I don't know how far you want to go into it, but obviously it's come out in the last couple of years. What's going on in Hollywood, right? And another big thing is, the music is what I noticed. But with all entertainment, is not one person. I mean, there's a couple now, I guess, but no one really came out against what was happening. And all these bands like Metallica, we're so rebellious, and all these bands. They suddenly go, no, I can't come to the concert unless you've got the Fauci ouchie, right?
Yeah.
And the Foo, the biggest kind of rebellious band, there's something like, no, we're just a bunch of freaks.
Yeah, I met the woman who worked with Dr. Fauci, and she had a gag order placed on her, for 5 years when she left the company. And she came to Georgia, and I had to go meet her. I was so ecstatic. I was like, oh my gosh, I just love you, because she was out like a lion talking about all of that. And I haven't heard from her recently, but I need to reach out to her and maybe interview her.
Well, it's all starting to go down, and of course, over in your part of the world, you got about 2 months, haven't you, until everything goes crazy. November, you got the primaries, isn't it? But that's clearly what's going on at the moment with all the stuff we're seeing in the mainstream media. And of course, media is the goddess of illusion, right? Medea.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they tell us all this stuff.
Yeah, they do. They do.
All right.
Yeah. Hollywood.
Okay, I'll just see if anyone got any questions. Do you Jordan Maxwell much? Does, yes. She said that she reads lots of Jordan Maxwell.
So let me tell you about my journey.
So what were you going to say?
So my journey was, I've always been ever since I was a child, I was into, unsolved mysteries, all of the weirdest things on TV. I wouldn't miss a beat with that. And then the internet came about.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And so
they were great. And remember, like the old Leonard Nimoy Discovers and all those, when they used to actually show you.
I know.
I love that stuff.
I know. Like, I loved all that stuff. And the weirdest things were always the most fascinating for me. And so, traversing into all the truth about the ingredient labels, reading the labels, researching the contents and the ingredients, that was just more levels. And then in 2009, I joined the film industry here in Georgia. And I started working on all these different major productions. And I got bored of listening to my iPod all day because I didn't like the radio with all the commercials and, backwash that you got to listen to. I said, well, you know what? I'm going to just start listening to YouTube. And so I just started listening to all these different people talk. And the longest videos, the ones that were over an hour or 4 hours, 5 hours, that was great for me because I had to spend 10 or 12 hours in a warehouse or on set or wherever I was, at the time. And so I just came across all these fascinating people, and Jordan Maxwell was one of them. And I listened to hours and hours, and I can still, even to this day, I cannot get enough Jordan Maxwell, even reviewing the things that I've already been over. But it set my mind into this motion of, oh my gosh, look at all this stuff. But nobody out in the world around me wanted to hear it. So basically, I was just entertaining myself, because I would share, David Icke with all my coworkers. I'm like, did you heard this guy? He talks about the reptilians. And even I was skeptical when I first heard that. I was like, what in the world? Reptilians, really? I'm like, okay, this is getting farther out beyond my reach, because I was like, I don't know if I believe this. But then when you meet people who have actually had experiences, and then Jordan Maxwell and how he described he knew people that had experiences, I was like, okay. Then about the cryptids that are coming out more and more with Wolfman, the dog man. People are having more sightings and experiences. And again, the Fenrir, Wolfman, ties into Loki's story. That's Loki's son. And then I guess Fenrir just went out here and started propagating and mating and doing all. I don't know. I really don't know.
And of course, Loki's like a dark elf who is hanging out with the good elves, right? He lives with Thor and that, but he's actually a dark elf, isn't he?
He's a trickster. So Loki came from Niflheim in the Thor movie. They rescue Loki from the frost giant. He was a frost giant baby, but he was a shapeshifter.
I'm going to have to go watch that. So Loki was born of a giant from the Nephilim, basically.
He was basically born in Niflheim. And Odin rescued him when he destroyed the frost giant. And he took the baby because he wanted to raise him. He actually had empathy for leaving this baby there to die. So he brought him up to Asgard to raise him as his own. And Loki, that's why he has darkness in him. He's the duality. He's the light and the dark. He's the yin yang. And he can't help who he is. It's just like a leopard. The leopard can't change his spots. He can't help who he is. So weird, all of this. But it makes so much sense.
It's very weird. Well, it does. And they tell us as well, and as far as, the reptiles, did you ever see V?
Yes.
V, the series?
Yes, back in the day, yes.
I remember the original one from the 80s, before David Icke came out. They were showing us, right?
Yeah, they're putting it right in our face.
Being invaded by lizard people.
But see, here's part of the problem, though. Our silence is our consent. So when I see these things that I don't agree with, I either internally or externally say, I do not consent. And that sends out the spell and breaks that bind. And it's that simple.
I agree. I do it all the time.
Yeah. Your thought is everything. The
intention of the spell is the thought.
Your free will, your thought, coupled with emotions. So your emotions with your state of mind, your awareness, what level you're actually operating on at the time, resonates with that frequency, sends it out, and then reflects it back. So it's like a boomerang. Like we can just say, it opens up the rainbow bridge of frequencies for those colors, and it goes out and it resonates and connects with those things that are on that frequency, and then it channels it back. Fascinating. When you can make these, things come together to see how our world operates.
Which is why.
Uh-oh.
And that's why there's so much fear, because they know that that's how we work. And if we were focusing on good stuff, we'd be creating,
there you are.
There? Hello, I can see you.
That was odd.
We dropped out of it. It just froze.
It was the black.
We've done all right.
Saturn.
my computer dropped out. It was literally dropping out every 2 or 3 minutes for about 20 minutes before I started. So I'm glad we've got through 2 hours. I thought we might not even get a show going.
No.
All right, so we're almost at 2 hours, but we got through. We've got 487 people watching us. So everyone, the link for Error of My Ways is below in the description. So make sure you go check it out. Lots of good stuff over there. Excuse me. Thank you for everyone joining us. So have you got anything you want to wrap up with? Any final thoughts?
Well, I implore people to truly go within. That's my whole spiel with studying Yggdrasil. I want people to try to envision like the connectivities of the timelines, the essence, the era, the epoch, whatever it is within inside themselves to connect with, to say, oh my gosh, with Yggdrasil, you can look at these different aspects because it represents the tree of life in Kabbalah as well. Look at these different things, these principalities of Yggdrasil or Lord of the Rings, and see what you might resonate with, whether you're elf, giant, dwarf, just spirit, all of these things, they're there, these aspects. And you can be a dark elf, light elf, whatever. If you're absorbed by darkness and you love dark things and like heavy metal or, the lyrics of some of these songs that are really, low, then that's where you are in the spectrum of things. And that your thoughts are going to create that reality. And if you wish to live in a better reality of light and kindness, then, you got to escalate. And that's, doing real introspection and observing the things around you. But I am just so grateful to have actually connected with you, because I've been following your channel and you've talked about Tartaria, and I'm on that narrative too. I see it out here in my world. But when I came across your channel saying autodidactic, I'm like, that's me too. I'm like, I gotta reach out.
One of my clients at home. At the start, hardly anyone could say it, and now everyone's like, yes, I'm not autodidactic. It's great, actually. I have kids, like little kids, come up to me. I'm autodidactic, and I'm like,
isn't it great? That's awesome.
Because, I mean, imagine if we got told that at school, right? Instead of sit down and shut up, listen to me. Your dad stayed in the corner.
Now we can start telling.
It's all backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, we can start telling little kids that Thor is real. God of thunder.
Yeah. Well, every little kid wants to be a superhero. Now we can tell them they really are.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't believe it.
It's true.
Yeah, and the way things are going, everything's changing. We might be flying around and shooting zappy things out of our hands and
that's
all that kind of stuff.
X-Men that's the element.
That's the X-Men. Yeah, that's where we're going.
Yeah, and with technology too, though. They're going to integrate this technology into the body for those people who want immediate gratification, as opposed to climbing this spiritual ladder.
And that's a good point.
But
like in all these superhero movies, you hardly ever see a goodie that's like a cyborg, but a lot of the baddies are cyborgs, aren't they?
Yes.
Half machines and stuff.
Oh, listen, that whole Star Wars.
Because they're mixed with the AI.
It's the Star Wars, so they have the
Star Wars, of course.
Baltic Sea anomaly is a real thing, and it looks like the Millennium Falcon. And then
that's under the water, right?
The moon.
Is it under the water?
What's that?
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, it's the Baltic Sea anomaly.
I've seen the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, under the ocean. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought so.
it looks like the Millennium Falcon. Then Iapetus is the Death Star. So Iapetus is a moon of Saturn, you know,
Yeah, because,
and it's the Death Star.
yeah, it's got that
And
thing on
then,
it.
you know, they have a statue
right.
of Darth Vader in Ukraine. They're saying that they did it, you know,
Really?
but how ancient is this statue? I would be curious to know really what the truth is about that statue. But yes, go look at it. Look.
There's a Batman mask. Have you seen it? And it's from like the 1500s.
Yes. And then,
have you seen that one? Yeah,
Yoda, they found Yoda in an ancient text, in an ancient scroll. Yes.
Oh yeah, yes, I've seen that. Yeah, the little.
I mean, that's why I say these people are not. They are not who you think they are. These people that put out these movies that write them.
No, they're not. Yeah,
they're occultists.
Just quickly, thank you, Looking, for your super chat. I love you too. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, and Darth Vader also wears a cape. He's a judge as well.
Yeah, he wears black. He's black of, you know, black cube of Saturn.
What do they kill him with? A lightsaber. A light sword.
See there?
A sort of light. So it's just all there, isn't it? We're just going to turn off the telly and pay attention to the movies.
Yes,
come on.
That's why I say you go watch these. Right? Go watch them again. Now that you got new glasses, that's how I feel. I'm like, I got to go watch all this stuff. You know, They Live. Yeah, that was a good one.
They Live.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I saw it recently. Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. All righty. Well, thank you. We've done 2 hours there. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's 10 in the morning for you, isn't it, over there? So you're just starting the day, got your hat on, and going into winter. We're going into spring. So thank you for everyone who's joined us in the chat there. 466 of you still with us. Like I said, go and check out the links below. Go and check out Ellen's. It's got some really cool stuff on it, actually. Some really good videos. And yeah, thanks for your time. And maybe we'll do it again in the future sometime and broach another topic.
Oh, sure. You know, I can talk about all kinds of things. The weirdest things are what interests me. But thank you so much for having me.
You're in the right place. You're in the right place for weirdness. That's we're all weird here. All righty. All right, guys. Well, thanks for staying with us. Thank you, Ellen, and we will talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.